the power of owning your desires. Redefine your worth, rewrite your story, and step empowered into what's yours. So this subject actually is one that's very near and dear to Amy's and my hearts. And the reason for that is that we are such strong creators, and we have seen how when you understand the principles of how creation works, that life becomes easier and easier and easier. So we're going to talk today about the many different aspects of that, how to develop your awareness, and what needs to come into alignment in order to be successful in doing that. So with that, I'd like to, of course, welcome everyone who is here with us live now, as well as those of you who will be watching this replay. You are very important to us, and we so much appreciate your feedback. So please don't hesitate in making certain that you do so. It's really so beneficial for Amy and I to know exactly how to serve you. But also, as you know, our focus is on helping you to really step into your heart and to create a heart-centered life. And that is our mission. So with that, I just want to start the show off with this quote. And this is by Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. And of course, what you'll be hearing more about is that world that is changing, of course, begins with you. So with that, Amy, could you please share with our audience a little bit about you, your work, and about creating your own heart-centered life?
Thank you, Marcy, for that quote. It's a good reminder, because we forget, our place in this world as being a creator, as being that person who creates, and not only creates a life that we love, but creates a life that the world loves, that your family loves, that your children love, that your partner loves, that and it's important for us as creators to really embody that and to really own it. And today we'll be talking about owning it and the importance of that. Like me, I've lived my whole life as a creator. And even that, I had to learn how to own it. So this is not something like I'm a creator, so this is like, I'm a creator, let's get to work, right? Let's figure this out. And what I do is I support women in their life and their relationships, and really beyond that, I really support women to own who they are. This is really about us owning who we are. No more letting anyone tell us who we are. We get to be who we want to be. And this is I'm passionate about this, because as a creator, we have to be fully engulfed in self and our power and our ability to be loving, to be caring, to take action, to also, shut it down when it ain't working for us. Okay. We have that right. So when we own who we are, no one or nothing could really stop us. It might hesitate us, but not stop us. We're like, we'll figure it out. And so that's what I do. I'm a creator of the Radical Embodiment Method, which is where you can see owning is an embodied state. It is not a mental state. It is an embodied state. So how do we get there? Marcy and I, Live with Marcy and Amy, is a monthly event. This is where we come every month to support you in your life. We pick themes that are relevant for today. And what we of course, we want your input, right? How can we serve you, as Marcy said in the beginning? So this is a monthly event every third Thursday that Marcy and I really are committed to showing up and teaching and learning and growing together. So Marcy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks so much for that, Amy. And for our audience, I really just want to acknowledge right now what it took for Amy to be here today and for us to successfully be here together for this show. You might not know, but Amy lives in LA, and of course has been so deeply impacted by everything going on around her. Thank God she is safe and her home is safe, but knows so many, of course, who have been devastated and have lost their homes. And so I just want to thank you, Amy, for moving through all of that grief and pain, and to show up today for our audience. And like Amy said, we are committed. Amy and I have been doing this show now every single month for over 3 years, now going into 3.5 years. And in this commitment to you, we are also committed to ourselves, because this is part of our sacred mission. And so as Amy was talking about the show and, what it really means to own your desires, what we're talking about is owning your life, what it is that you want to experience in your life, and how you, as the divine creator that you are, can do that. And so I'm Marcy Newman. I am known as a heart shift coach, and I just celebrated my 50th year of service in 2024. So I'm now in 5-1 category, which is so crazy and so delightful at the same time. And my focus for the past 25 years has been on self-love and what I have learned about owning your desires, how to really create your life so that it is aligned with your God or goddess self, your purpose, your mission. So we're going to talk about that as well. But I also want to just say that this focus on self-love is, from my perspective, the absolute essential key for you to be able to create a heart-centered life, number one, and number two, to reap the benefits of that. So with that, what else to say? I work, primarily with women's groups at this point. And I am privileged to say that in the past 50 years, to be able to walk this walk with so many people around the world and to watch them and their awakening, to see their own ascension process fully develop and for them to elevate their frequency is the greatest joy of my life, as well as to experience it myself, because we all do this together. So with that, Ames, do you want to get started? Can I start with asking you a question, or you want to ask me?
I'm going to go ahead and ask you a question first, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think we're going to pin each other so that we have, is that okay? Marcy,
sure.
Okay, let's do that. And of course, in the audience, if you have, put your questions in the chat as we move along through this process, because the process of owning what we desire is a process.
That's right.
I'm going to ask you, Marcy, how is owning your dreams or desires different than wanting them? Energetically, don't they both take place in the same place?
So, well, let's start here.
Yeah.
So how is owning your dreams and desires different from wanting them? The difference is that when you are in the wanting phase, you are recognizing that you don't yet have them in your reality that you're creating. And so when you step into the ownership of dreams, you are stepping in, and I'm sure all of you have heard this before, from the place of already having, already being. Now, I want to talk about this for a minute because I know people have asked me, well, should you ask for anything? Right? If you ask for something, aren't you putting the emphasis? Oh, I just got God bumps. Aren't you putting the emphasis on you not having it? So here's what I want you to say to yourself as you're moving into these directions of creation. I want this. I want this. That's how every creator starts. Because it is that declaration that I want this in my life. You are asking then the next step for the support of the universe. And so, are you putting focus on what you don't have by saying, I want this? Perhaps. But what you're actually doing, more of your energetic focus is, I'm willing to do what it takes to have this. And we're going to talk more about this as the show unfolds. But when we say, I want this, we're also stepping into our ability to create through the divinity within us. And so, what we're talking about today is the difference between putting your focus on the desire and allowing it to spotlight what you don't have, and instead put the spotlight on your ability to create it. Can you see and feel the difference there? So, what sense would it make for us to start creating something that's already in our field? We wouldn't do that, would we? But what we have within us is the desire to always create because we are creators. And so energetically, it's what we are calibrated to do. Create, 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 create. And in this world, we live according to contrast, right? We live in a world, we call it duality. But that contrast is what is there to show us that, oh, we can create something different if that's not satisfactory to us. Oh, I can just pivot here and I can have a completely different experience. So, do they both take you to the same place? Perhaps. Eventually, even though your focus is on what you don't have, let's say, for instance, you may eventually get there, or you may not. But I can guarantee you'll get there when you start to spotlight your ability to create. And of course, to align yourself with what it asks you to do, because that's a whole other ball game. So, did that answer that for you, Aim?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. So let me ask you, as a creator, what has been your relationship with your dreams and your desires? And why claiming what you want is so important?
Yeah, so I'm gonna also piggyback on you on making these declarations. Making these declarations takes courage. Okay, like to really feel it in your body and to really own that declaration is powerful. Okay, I am a creator. I mean, I'm a dancer, photographer. Get me into something, computerish. I'll create a landing page. I love to create. And the creator I am today is different than the creator who I used to be. Okay. The creator who I used to be used to hide, used to hesitate, used to have all kinds of ideas and no follow through. Who can relate to that one?
That's right.
Yeah. who just becomes so overwhelmed with our creative mind that we get nothing done, right? And so I've been that creator. I've been her, right? And then for me to actually be the creator I am today, the person who has mastered an art form, a person who is in this entrepreneurial journey, this person who is in this journey of love, this person who's in this journey of creation. I'm so different now because of what we're going to talk about further on in this program, that I had to learn how to take action, how to follow through. I had love and commitment for something, but I had no follow through. I had that desire, that thing that woke me up every morning, but no understanding of how to get there, right? And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but you've got this thing in your mind over and over and over, just coming. And we let things get in the way of that desire, of that thought of who we want to be. And it could be like leaving a marriage, right? You wake up every day like, I need to get out of this relationship, man. I mean, who hasn't been there? You like wake up every single day, yes, with that thought, I need to get out. I need to get out. So what's the difference between the person who I need to get out but stays, and I need to get out and figures out how to get out? Okay. Those are two different types of creators, and they have the same thought, but one creator is able to follow through and one creator is not able to follow through.
That's right.
So we're going to break that down and on what that looks like to be that person who takes the steps to get out, to be the person who takes steps to create what they want. So I'm going to ask you, Marcy. So claiming it is very important, like we discussed, right? Having this desire is very important.
Yeah.
But how can you get clear about what is standing in your way, to bringing your desires to life? And how do you know which part of the story you've been telling yourself that needs to be revised?
Great question. So let's start with getting clear. I talk about energy all the time, and how everything, every thought, every belief, every action, every non-action has its own vibrational imprint that it leaves in your field. And so in the awareness that I've created, I'm able to discern those frequencies. And in fact, it's one of the first things I do with my clients is teach them how to discern the energy, because one energy will take you to your heart's desire and another energy will take you as far away from it as the ego can get you. Okay. So I just gave you a little clue. Discernment, getting clear, is getting clear about the voice of the ego versus the voice of your higher self. The voice of the ego, the first thing it's going to try is to get you to react to a wounded aspect of yourself, to a traumatized aspect of yourself. So that's what it does first. And it goes, and it just gives you that zits and waits to see what your reaction is. And then if it hasn't caught you in that, it will take you into something else like, oh, well, remember when that happened, or this happened, or that happened. In other words, it will start to call your attention to things in the past. And nearly 100% of the time, it will be things in your past that have disappointed you. Okay? I'm going to say this over and over and over again. Your ego's worst nightmare is that you remember who you are, that you remember that you're a creator. And so it does everything it can to produce these smoke screens so that you don't see that and you don't remember that. But as you get clear about how that voice sounds and feels, remember, we're in this world of contrast right now. The contrast to that is the voice of your higher self. The voice of your higher self will always lead you forward. It will lead you into the path where love can show itself in a greater way. And so as you have these opportunities in life to experience all this, you're going to start to recognize how love speaks to you. Rather than taking you down the path of yesterday, love will take you into the right now. And it's going to ask you, this is where we come back to it over and over. What do you want? What do you want to experience? Because if you want to experience this, it's going to lean into you. It's going to whisper, follow me. Follow me. No matter how loud that ego is. And so right then and there, you have a choice to make. Which voice are you going to follow? And so what happens now is that contrast, which is the story of resistance, right? It has to do with the ego, is going to start to get really clear about how it has been preventing you from moving forward, following your heart, and bringing your dreams to life. You can tell this is absolutely one of my most favorite conversations, and it's why I was so excited about being here today with you, Ames. I also want to just remark, and Amy, I'll put the link in the chat, but we're going to have a deeper dive workshop on this next Tuesday, the 21st, so we can take you sort of hand by hand, heart by heart, into your own process. But anyway, I want to ask you this. After we have claimed what we want, what might we experience in our journey? And what do we need to let go of?
Yes. Yeah, once you claim it. So I want to say that I think our first action today should be claiming I am a creator. That once you decide that you are a creator, you understand all of the responsibility. It all relies on you and you producing, you creating, you being. So the fingers, you can't point to any fingers anymore. This is what I say to my clients, no more pointing fingers out. Let's get in. Let's get into ourselves. Let's be that creator. Let's be that person who figures out what's holding us back. So once that you claim what you want, this is where you're going to meet yourself. This is the opportunity where you meet yourself. And that is a sacred, sacred journey. That is a sacred space that we all get to go, oh my God, I get to really figure this out. Right? Because oftentimes we get into, like Marcy said, what we don't have, how hard it's going to be, how we're going to piss people off, how we're going to be financially unstable, how we're worried about this, we're worried about that. But through the claiming, you meet yourself. I mean, I got really invested in that. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I get to figure out who I am, what I want, and my desires. Now, in claiming what I want, don't expect an easy journey. That is just not, in my experience, not a real thing, because you are challenged every step of the way for a reason. so that you meet yourself, so you gain confidence, so you gain more spirituality, so you gain more understanding of it. So all of this is just a learning and going outside of what you have already been doing. So I could sit at home and be like, oh my God, I want to be, I want to serve a lot of people, I want to be a coach, which I did. But, people didn't just come to my living room like, bing. No, I had to learn how to learn how to do these funnels, learn how to speak to people, learn how to do these PDFs, learn how to do these online courses, learn. You think any of that was easy? No. So if you're looking for easy, I think you're focusing on the wrong energy. It's the low-hanging fruit that you're focusing on. No, you want to be in this place of oh man, I really want to reach for this thing and I really want to have it. So what do I have to do to get it? And who do I get to be on that journey? And so the shift in energy is important as we move forward, which is embodiment. So desire is an embodied state. You must put it in your body that you desire this thing, whatever it is. I had to up level my energy around being a coach, about being an entrepreneur, about being a dancer, about being a photographer, whatever it is, I have to up my energy. And so Marcy spoke about that too. It's that shift. We are living in an energetic world and we must recognize it as such. And therefore we are energy. So we get to be energy. So as you claim something, just get ready. Get ready. But I guarantee you, there's nothing better than knowing yourself. There's nothing better than owning who you are. There's nothing better than that. So with that, so I'm going to ask you, Marcy, and asking for everything you want, right? Is that asking too much? Isn't it selfish? Doesn't the universe get tired of you asking for things? Oh my God, they must be like, Amy, shut up.
And I love the question so much because is there anybody in the audience who could not raise your hand to that? It's I better cut it off now. I'm asking for too much. So first, I just want to comment on, some of the beautiful things that you said, Amy, about, this is a journey of us. It's the journey, I call it the journey of intimacy, into me, see. Every step along the way, there is going to be something shown to you that you have the choice to either revise, recalibrate, let go of completely, or bring it along with you. And that's the purpose of it. Amy said, your experiences, they are purposeful. And the purpose of it is, guess what? Is to bring you to this final realization that you're a divine co-creator, that life is flowing through you. And as it does, you get to experience it in the world of duality. And so I also want to touch on one thing. It's a little bit off subject, but I want to bring it up now because it just came into my mind. And we talk so much about the ego and how it's frantic, right? That you're going to remember who you are and discover all of your superpowers. But I also want every single one of us to acknowledge that it also is purposeful. You see, it is the ego that actually is the catalyst for us bringing things into physical manifestation. That energy of the ego is the energy of the earth. The energy that we use to create is the energy of the heavens. So in order to bring that into physical form, we use that energy of the ego. We have to, right? We have to gear up and follow this path of unfolding to bring it to life. And so that is the journey of intimacy into me, see. So this question is asking for everything you want, asking for too much. Well, the ego is going to use that because it wants to deter you. And it's so easily used because many of us were told that as children. Stop asking for so much. Stop asking. Stop asking. Stop asking. You're driving me crazy. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. And I'm sure I was driving my parents crazy because I have a tendency to be a bit relentless when it comes to that. And so this programming that we experience as children is a perfect tool now for the ego, right? So the ego just gobbles that up and says, I'm just going to remind them that they're asking for too much. And what happens the moment that we buy into that? Our energy field contracts and it becomes dense. And we literally cannot get the energy outside of us to go out into that universal playground to find other energy just like itself to co-create with. And so that's why it doesn't come then into our experience. And then what happens, because we have not been successful in that, and the ego has been successful in detracting us, we then start to establish a new pattern where we now want to provide evidence for that belief that we're asking for too much. If I didn't ask for so much, maybe I would have gotten one of those things, right? So what happens is, this is where the ego just takes off and says, I've got you now. We're on the hamster wheel and we're just going to keep going around and around and around. So here's what I want to say to you. Not only is your saying, I want this, not selfish, you are actually actualizing your powers as a divine co-creator. You are a creator. You must create in order to feel fulfilled. You must. I mean, can you imagine a dancer like Amy never dancing? She must dance. She must move. That's what her body needs. So you are a creator, and what you need in order to fulfill and satisfy that desire to create is to create. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just that you reach into that energy of creation and feed your heart. And then, of course, your heart feeds the universe, because the universe is your co-creator. It is fulfilled by your desires and its desire to service you, to be in alignment with you, to respond to you. It's an amazing thing that we're a part of. I mean, you are part of this system of creating universe after universe after universe. Can't create them if you're not asking for more. You must ask for more. In fact, it's your birthright. So with that, Ames, I'd like to ask you, what role do values play in owning what you want?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure if you see all of our past shows, I'm always like moving all the time. Like, oh my God,
You
can I
what?
just please? I just have to move all the time.
Right.
So yes, so this is interesting because the investment into yourself as a creator is so important, that you invest yourself as a creator, and that you, in the creation mode, you are demanding that you are important in the process. Okay. When I teach dance, I understand the best way for people to improve is while they are in movements, I give a quick put your toes or straighten your arms or higher, right? I give a quick thing while they're in the process of movement is the best time to learn. Okay. We as creators cannot learn when we're not entering into the action and movement of creation. Oftentimes we want something and we never take action on it, so therefore we never learn. When you the best way, the most efficient way to learn is through the action. Okay, this is where your myelin gets all built up. And it's not practice makes perfect, it's making adjustments in the action. So why is it important that we know our values? Okay, because we have to know our values and live our values out as a creator. Like, we have to have those values as our beacon of light. All right, they have to be our guiding light. They are just as important, if not more important, than the claim. Because if we do not align with our values and move forward in action with our values, we are losing our personal integrity.
That's right.
This is very important. If I have a value of peace, I embody that value. I make that a very important part of my process. I need peace in my life for me to create. That means I must stay true to my value of peace, so then I can create. If I have chaos in my life, I am suppressed emotionally because I'm a very empathetic feeling person. And I must create peace in my life. I understand that about myself as a creator. I know what it takes for me to be that creator. I know that my words have to be true. Like, I can't lie. As I speak to you, I know that I have to tell the truth, and which is why sometimes you get a lot of like, I can't believe, that's happened to Amy, but I'm human and I'll say it. I don't have a problem with that because my words have to be true. That's part of my values. I have to be as authentic as I possibly can in my life. And if I can't be authentic in a certain area of my life, I cut it off. So when you ask, what about other people? I don't know. They're going to have to deal with their own thing. But I know they're very surprised that I pick me over them all the time. And I'm going to tell you, once you start doing that, your life becomes easier. So I don't worry about them. I worry about me. What am I compromising? What am I giving up? Who am I being in this situation? I don't like it. If I don't like it, I got to get out. That's part of being a creator. How do I get out? Right? So knowing your values and knowing your values is not writing them down. It's another step. You have to embody them. You have to make them your beacon of light. You have to wake up every day with that intention. And you have to take action to learn how to be a creator. It's not done perfectly at all. I mean, how many mistakes I've made. I mean, even sending this out, I see like a typo. I'm like, oh, there's a typo. It's still out there. All right. All right. Yeah. So our deep dive workshop is on Tuesday, the 21st, and the art of owning what you want. We're going to go through the steps and how to really make this a priority in your life. So Marcy, how can you tell if your lack of worthiness, I know we're going to talk about worthiness, is getting in your way, and what can you do to shift it?
The one thing I wanted to mention about the things that you were saying is that I want everyone to understand, again, I'm going to come back to energy and the frequencies, and particularly the frequency of love, which is the very fiber that all things are created from. So that is the energy that actually creates whatever is for our highest good and the highest good of others, right? So the higher we are in that vibrational frequency, we know that whatever we create from those higher realms is going to be for our highest good and the good of all. So Amy said she has got to be in peace. Peace rides the wave with love. And so knowing that value, which is so important to Amy, is what it is going to be an indicator to her that she is going to be very happy with whatever she creates when she's feeling that peace. For me, I know when I'm out of the vibration of love because I don't feel free. I feel my energy getting stuck and I can feel my field contracted. So for me, my value, my most important value is I've got to feel that sense of freedom. And so in this question of worthiness, I hope what you will glean from this is how both Amy and I have really embodied, embraced our worthiness of peace, our worthiness of freedom. Because unless you know that and you take that value that is absolutely essential for you to feel alive and fulfilled, you will settle for feeling less than that. And if you are settling for feeling less than that, you will be less than thrilled with what you create from it, because you will be expecting it to be of this high vibrational frequency that feeds your peace or that feeds my freedom. But it can't make it. It can't get there because it wasn't created from that energy. This is why all of this is connected. So this worthiness part is a huge key. It also is going to determine whether or not you're going to follow the path that the ego sets out for you as opposed to the path that your higher self sets out for you. The path of the ego, and this may shock you, but it actually might feel right. It might feel so familiar that that just feels right. When in fact, and I talk about this as self-love, self-love, it's going to take you out of that comfort zone. And self-love is the process of us embracing our divinity. So if you're going to follow that path of self-love, which is knowing your worthiness to be aligned with the God consciousness within you, then you will do whatever it takes to shift back into that. So at this point, for me, when I'm out of it, it's like nails on a blackboard. Can you feel that? It's like, I can't stand it. And it is relentless inside of me. There is no distraction in the world that I can do to overcome that. The only thing that I can do is make my way through the muck and come back into my heart and let go of whatever that story was that the ego wanted me to believe. So this is such a huge part of what we're going to be teaching on Tuesday, because it is so absolutely essential that this worthiness part of you is not just something you give lip service to, but it's like Amy showing up here today as the world around her is in flames. It is my showing up here today, wondering, what is this exchange going to be like, right? It's my showing up determined that I'm here to teach only love. That's it. That's it. And so even those experiences in our lives that bring us to a point of grief or pain, we still must search for the love within it, because there's something waiting for us to create from that energy that we set free. That's how powerful all of this is. So with that, Ames, tell me something. How does radical acceptance support you in your journey towards your dreams and your desires?
Thank you for that, Marcy. Yeah. Well, and radical acceptance is powerful because it doesn't allow you to put excuses in front of what's happening. And if you want to talk about worthiness, right? Like me and my journeys, it was always about my worth. It was, am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of this? Now, what happened when I went into radical acceptance was that I actually was like, yeah, why? I don't feel worthy. I didn't try to have distractions around it. I was like, oh, I accept the fact that I am not valuing myself. I accept that fact. And there's nothing wrong with that, because once you accept that radical acceptance about why you are not taking action on what you desire, or like why are you even staying in this horrible relationship? Why are you staying in this unhappy relationship? Let's just accept it. Because I'm afraid. I don't think I'm capable. Everyone will abandon me. No one will like me. No one will believe me. These are the things I had. Right? And if I did not have that radical acceptance about why I was not taking action, I wouldn't be here today. Because I probably would have been like, oh, it's just not the right time. Or like, it's them, they, whoever they are. They're the reasons why I'm not following through on my dreams. So radical acceptance is this peaceful place of like, shoot, I accept the fact that I don't feel worthy. I accept that. Now, what steps can I take to really build that worthiness in myself? What do I need to shift around my beliefs that I get to be worthy and feel worthy? And I work with a lot of artists, and a lot of artists is like, don't feel that what they do is important. And believe you me, I used to feel that way too. no more. I know my place in this world is powerful. I teach a lot of people. I coach a lot of people. I've been showing up as a dancer and an educator for years and years. I'm a tutor, I'm an academic life coach. I have these things that I put out there and I own and I know are important because they are changing lives. The old creator, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what, yeah. That's fine. Actually, my friend is actually better at it than I am. Right. All these things of like not owning it. So I had to get real with myself and get into radical acceptance that this is what's happening with you, Amy. And this is where I get to meet myself. This is where you get to meet yourself and accepting this relationship sucks. It is, I mean, it's like, and accepting it. Then you're like, shoot, it sucks so bad. What do I got to do to get out? Right? This job sucks. What do I have to do to get out? Well, it pays my bills. It does that. Well, he does this for me or she does that for me. And then all these like things when you're like miserable, horrible. Get to radical acceptance. And then it's like this amazing thing of like, yeah, this is like real. This is real true for me. Now, what do I got to do about it? So you and I, we talk about radical acceptance a lot, Marcy, because we both know the importance of it. But what is, when we talk about this, what is a go nowhere dream? Is that really possible? What is the cause? And is it really anything that you can change? Go nowhere. Did you hear some word? I never heard that before.
A go nowhere dream.
Yeah.
It's something actually that I've coined.
Okay. I was like, I never.
Yep. And I use it quite often because it's appropriate when someone ditches their dream for many of the reasons that you were just talking about. And in fact, it's everything that we've been talking about. It is this programming, this belief that whatever you're asking for is too much. It is forgetting who you are. You are a creator. There is nothing outside of you. It is forgetting that your worthiness is never in question to the divinity within you, which is the highest ranking system that I want to use, right? So if in its eyes, my worthiness has never been questioned, then guess what? Everything else, it needs to stand down because my worthiness is not only appropriate, it is my birthright as a divine creator. So these go nowhere dreams are the ones that plague us. They are the ones that we have kicked to the curb because we have allowed whatever the ego has used to cause the resistance, that we have not aligned with them, with our thoughts, words, and deeds, and have not put our heart into them. I remember once I was working with this guy who had this lifelong dream of owning this car, this particular car. I can't tell you what it was, I don't recall. But he would come to me lamenting he still didn't have this car. And of course, every time we spoke, there would be more and more reasons why he couldn't. And then one day he just, like threw up his arms and he said to me, Marcy, my kids, need shoes. They need school supplies. They need to be fed. And in that moment, it was so clear that he didn't realize that as a creator, he could create the opportunity for that car to come into his world, and it had nothing to do with the shoes or the school supplies or the mortgage or anything else. But when you forget who you are, you close down all of your possibilities because you're thinking as a human thinks. A human is programmed to say priority, 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 priority. Got to put food on the table and shoes on their feet and all of this. And who am I to ask for this car? So that story that he had in his head came from the programming of being, a provider, but to the point where he only saw himself as a provider and not as a creator. There are no limits to what you can create, and one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. There is no hierarchy. In A Course in Miracles, it talks about there being no hierarchy in miracles. Not one is greater or lesser than the other. And when we're talking about creating, it's exactly the same thing. When you think about some of these most incredible inventions, for instance, that clearly were downloads, right, that came through with some channeling, and that person rises up out of poverty, right, and comes to the world with this idea. If they had bought into the fact that they were impoverished, who are they to have these thoughts? Who are they to invent this? Who are they for this and that? We wouldn't have them in our world. So what we need to recognize is there is no hierarchy. You can create the opportunities for your heart's desires to come in that may seem very frivolous and still pay your bills. So we limit ourselves by the beliefs that we keep fueling. Right now, there is such a call for us to align with the energy of abundance because we're witnessing so much loss around the world. We, as conscious creators, are here to bring the balance back into the collective energy. So guess what? We've got to put our focus on abundance. We must make certain that we are not buying into the energy of loss, because otherwise what will happen? We will continue to see it in the world because energy is always seeking out other energy like itself. So the choice is yours to begin to embrace the abundance that is in that energy of love and guaranteed as your birthright, or to contribute to the loss of the world. This is pretty serious business right now, which is why Amy and I also wanted to do this workshop on Tuesday, because they're like no holds barred. We're diving in deep, and we're going to share exactly how we do this. This is on a completely different scale, and I think you're realizing that just from hearing us. So with that, Amy, I want to ask you one last question. How does a person rewrite that story? And I know we're going to talk about it again on Tuesday, actually going through processes. But I think what's important is that we kind of touch on, the journey that you were talking about before. I mean, what happens when you go inside and you don't like that person, right? We have to rewrite that story too. So can you speak to us about that?
Yeah, well, there's many steps to rewriting the story, but some I could touch on. One, I want to say that, okay, did we all claim that we are creators on this talk, right? Great. Now, I'm here to tell you, as a creator, now you're responsible for being a creator. Like I I take it on as my duty and my responsibility to be a creator. That keeps me accountable. I don't think it's something frivolous, because I've been told my whole life what I do is frivolous. It's a waste of time. So I don't believe that at all. I'm a creator. My responsibility is here. That's why I'm here today. It's my responsibility to show up as, and that's what Marcy was saying. As creators, it's our responsibility to shift the energy of the world towards love, creation, curiosity, openness, these beautiful things that we as creators must be to create. I can't talk negatively about myself and then create. I can't talk negatively about someone else and create. That is just a fallacy. That's not real. You're not creating something from the heart. And so for us to be able to be this person, we have to let go of these stories. We have to let them go. And one of the biggest, one of the superpowers, of values of this energy is empathy. Is to find empathy for other people, to find empathy for ourselves, to find empathy around a situation. That's the only way. I believe the first step is to start letting go of these things that hold us hostage. The story that I was not worthy held me hostage. That means I had to go back and find empathy around the people who told me I was not worthy, to find some kind of breath, space, so that I could rewrite the story. Because if those things are holding on to us, like with a vice grip, we can never rewrite our story, because those things will always be pulling us back. I could not claim who I was as I am today 10 years ago. I couldn't do it. But today I can, and I do all the time. And I feel proud of myself. That's a big one for me too. I feel very proud of my work. I feel proud of how I've contributed to the society. I feel very proud of my work. I would have never said that 10 years ago. And so it's possible. It's possible because I'm here. It's possible because Marcy's here. Right? And since you're here, it's possible, right? Because being that creator is showing up as a creator. You're already in the process. Once you're in the process, it's like I said, once you're in it, that's where you make adjustments. I can't make adjustments thinking about if I do something. But I have to make the adjustment while doing it. So that's how you rewrite your story. There's many ways. I got a lot on this, but and the other way to rewrite your story is to speak your truth. Shame, guilt, hiding, all of that really suppresses your ability to be a creator, because creation means authenticity. And a lot of us have stories of shame, of things that have happened to us that we hide and we don't tell people. And even like when my fiance passed away, right? I couldn't speak about that day for about who you trust, who will sit with you quietly as you share your loss. But don't hold it. It keeps you from really showing up for yourself in this world.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Amy. It's, I am with you 100%. We can't emphasize that enough. We're so programmed to be filled with shame and guilt about the things that we've experienced. And those are the things that must come out. because we're worthy of being free of them, so that we can be the creators that we came here to be. So we hope that you will join us for our workshop, The Art of Owning What You Want. Transform hesitation into confidence and dreams into reality. And it's on Tuesday. I know it's 4 o'clock Eastern time. So what is that? 1 o'clock your time, Aim? 1 o'clock Pacific time. And we are going to do a deep dive. We have some great things planned. I don't know if you've been at one of Amy's and my workshops before, but the processes that we share, the deep intimacy that we share is actually, I would say, second to none. And it's a completely safe space, one that is created in the frequency of love for the purpose of loving you just as you are, and giving you the support so that you can step out of it confidently and be the greatest version of you that you came to be. Because we're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So thank you so very much for being here. All of the questions, by the way, any questions that you have, put them in the chat, because we're going to address them in the workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we always do that. So please just put them in the chat. And of course, in the workshop, you'll be able to ask us directly anything that you want. Again, nothing is off limits to you. No matter what it is that you want to create, we will be there to guide you. So having said that, how long is the workshop? It's 90 minutes of magic.
I love that.
It's
90
true.
minutes of magic. It is true.
It is 90 minutes of magic.
Plus bonuses.
Yeah. We're talking transformation. Yeah. We're talking transmutation of energy. And like Amy said, and the bonuses for coming into our workshop space, because you know what? We want to make certain you get what you need. We do believe we're all in this together. So, when we move together and we have this clear intention that is shared, this is how we create this new world that we want to move into. That's waiting for us, actually, just to get into alignment with it.
Yeah, we do a lot of music and meditation and reflections. And so it's again, as I said, you have to be in process to do it. You can't just observe. Right. You can't be an observer.
Yeah.
You have to get in there and participate. As without participation is key, and that we take you along with those rituals.
That's right.
We don't, it's not just sitting there and listening. It's you
a
are
journey.
Participating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it takes courage to let go of things.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a support that we give you as well, because it's important that you have a different perspective than when you came in. Yeah. It's the difference in that perspective that's going to allow you to create something new. So again, if you've never been to one, please jump into this one, because you're setting the frequency for the rest of your year.
Oh yeah, 2025
It's a great shot, right? Out into the field to help you to create. And and we know that you'll be very happy and very satisfied and fulfilled.
And we don't want anything to get in the way of your creating. Okay.
No.
So we don't want any of that. 2025 is your year. I'm going to claim it for you. If you can't claim it, I'll claim it for you. It's your year.
That's right.
Okay. And that determination for my values this year, I got determination. I got fierceness, being fierce.
More fierce?
More fierce. That's what I'm doing this year. This year I'm being more fierce. That's
Love
what
it.
I am. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
Carol's got
it.
Fierce. Okay. All right. We're on the same frequency.
I love it. Yes.
Yes. Fierce.
All right. Well, join us so you can bring it on. All right. We love you so much.
All right.
Thank you
Bye,
for
everyone.
giving us your time and energy and your beautiful hearts. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
Have
love
a
you.
beautiful day.
Yeah.
Rest of your day.
Yeah.
And let me
Bye-bye, everyone.
get these going here.